Welcome learners. Continuing our journey of learning about fitter, leveling, alignment and balancing, we have reached the next stage. Here we will talk about occupational health and safety in detail. At the end of this module, we will be able to 1. Know about safety requirements, procedures, resources for different areas. 2. Know about safe work practices. 3. Know about hazards, types of hazards, and how to control hazards. 4. Know about PPE requirements. 5. Know about safe working practices at heights. 6. Know about safe working practices at confined spaces. 7. Know about protection from fire hazards. We will take it one by one. But before we begin, here's a small activity for you. In this activity, you just have to complete the basic tasks. Scenario 1. A worker is in the factory. He sees a no entry sign if you're not wearing a helmet. He still moves ahead, suffers a head injury after a while. Scenario 2. A worker is in the factory. He sees a no entry sign if you're not wearing a helmet. He steps back, goes to a supervisor to get a helmet, and then moves inside. He performs his work quite well. Now if you're that worker, what scenario would you pick?
Hello participants, welcome to the first section of Occupational Health and Safety. Here, you will be taught about health and safety requirements in industry and essential elements for safety.
As you all know, working in the iron and steel industry can be hazardous due to its operations that includes both the environment and equipment. Hence, health and safety of workers becomes of utmost importance as it can affect the organization on both social and economic fronts. To maintain health and safety, it is crucial that the management implements the safe working practices and minimizes hazards, production and manpower losses due to accidents. The iceberg shown on the screen shows the diverse nature of accidents that could take place in iron and steel plants. As you can see, unsafe actions, lost time injuries, minor injuries, incidents, serious accidents, and fatalities are the accidents that management should aim at avoiding at any cost. You must understand that creating a safe working environment requires everyone's participation by practicing a safe way of working. The pyramid on your screen shows how you can achieve an overall goal of zero accidents. We also have 3 features that are vital for advancement of safety in a workshop. Situation of environment of workspace in terms of plant access, housekeeping, safety, and safe place of work, etc. Workers' training and ability, which assists them to recognize and apply safe systems of work. The development of motivational and behavioral influences of employees. This includes identifying unsafe behavior and attitude by using more direct strategies and to motivate employees. After this, you will need to understand the key elements necessary for a safe work environment in a steel plant. Everyone from the top management to the workforce must be completely aware of the safe working practices. Implementation of safety activities should be analyzed through a communication plan, participation, and commitment from maximum number of workers. People should help each other by sharing the best safety practices with their fellow workers and senior management. A well-defined and easy-to-understand safety structure keeps everyone in sync. Management should implement mechanisms to motivate workers towards safe work practices. Training program must be held by management to demonstrate the impact of practicing safety and health at work in one's career. Once you have these elements at place, things will become easy. Now let us explore some of the safety practices in an organization can follow. Proper duty assigned to the person responsible for health and safety in a steel plant. No accident should be missed, whether it's big or small, it must be reported and investigated. Learning from others is a good way to safeguard ourselves. Hence, study unsafe accidents happened in other steel plants. Proper documentation of every accident should be done. Safety drills and trainings for workers must be conducted. Safety investigation results and experiences gained from it must be shared with the workforce. And lastly, safety audits must be done at a timely basis to identify unsafe practices and make decisions to correct them. So participants, these are some of the important things about health and safety at work. Let us check your understanding with the help of a small test. Question 1. 3 features vital for advancement of safety are: Option A, environment of workplace, workers' training and ability, motivational and behavioral influence. Option B, tool management, proper storage, chain of command. Option C, human resource management, asset management, workplace management. Option D, access prevention to secure area, clean workspace, emergency first aid. The correct answer is A. Question 2. Who must be aware of the safe working practices? Option A, the administration. Option B, the team operating heavy equipment. Option C, the medical team. Option D. Vibration of the components during the drive mechanism can pose a risk during movements if not properly maintained. The 4 signs on your screen warn you about physical hazards, working in confined spaces. Chemical hazards. Chemical hazards can endanger your life, as the use of mineral oil to suppress dust and control bulk density during operations can create a hazardous situation. Another thing is when lids and doors are removed during mixing, the materials that are used for sealing leaks in them can cause a worry. Also, use of refracting ceramic filters and asbestos as insulating materials and gaskets is there. But now we have appropriate replacements working in confined spaces. Mechanical hazards. Mechanical hazards are related to machine use. It can be something like workers getting caught in between or struck by an equipment, falling from height or failing to lock out equipment. If there is a rotating machine, risk of hair, strands, loose cloth may get entangled with the equipment and lead to serious injuries. Also, any loose part of the machine may fly off and cause eye injuries. In addition to it, you can suffer skin burns from hot materials and surfaces and face irritation in eyes due to dust particles. Being a worker in a steel plant requires you to use tools correctly because carelessness can cause injuries to head, hands, and limbs. Working in confined spaces. Electrical hazards. As you know, live electric wires are dangerous and can lead to electric shocks and skin burns. They are the most common types of injuries, and in addition to it, you can suffer fire injuries due to faulty electrical equipment. Injury from arcing and even explosion are some of the electrical hazards. Hence, it is highly recommended to take proper safety measures if you're working on or near electrical machines, working in confined spaces. That was all about the types of hazards. We will now learn about hazards in steel manufacturing plants that you should be aware of. The list starts with road hazards, that is, hazards due to heavy traffic movement on the plant, like shift change timings of workers when a large number of workers move in and out of the plant. Then you have to take care of hazards at the coke oven and sinter plant. Dust, heat, chemicals, smoke, fire, etc. are the main causes of dangers here. Now you have a blast furnace and steel melting shop, where gas poisoning, heat, slag, dust, moving equipment and vehicles, fire, and working at heights are hazardous. Next up is rolling mills, where you can suffer injuries due to moving equipment, heat, suspended loads, splinters, and slippery floors. Working at a power plant can be dangerous due to height, heat vibrations, noise, gas, and steam lines, etc. Next is improper material handling due to posture. Improper signaling, moving equipment, loads, and suspended overhead loads, etc. that can cause injuries. Also, there are some common hazards related to every working space, such as working in confined space, working with improper tools, poor illumination, poor ventilation, electrical hazards, loco movement, unmanned crossings, unpreparedness for emergencies, unsafe scaffoldings, overconfidence, working without safety appliances, personal protective equipment, written clearances and shutdown clearances, etc., violation of safety protocols and shutdown procedures, etc. And now you have the most common hazard signs that you must know. You have learned about hazards and its causes and different signs. Let us take you through the control measures. Participants, injuries and accidents at the workplace can be minimized if you follow these methods diligently. Always follow the safety rules and codes of practice while performing your assigned tasks or duties. And in case of any doubt regarding the safety protocols, talk to your supervisor. You should always wear personal protective equipment, that is the PPE, suits while working and avoid using damaged tools and equipment. Also, do remember to keep the PPE kit and equipment at the correct place after use. Participants, you should also ensure all the protective clothing provided are used and all guards are securely fixed. Also, you should avoid using equipment which is not authorized to you. Be proactive and report any near miss, accidents, or dangerous condition to your supervisor. A highly safe practice is to switch equipment which is not being used. Take care of fellow workers, don't do anything that puts them in danger. Lastly, attend all the safety training sessions and drills to be aware of the practices. Now let us check your understanding with the help of a small test. Question 1. What is a hazard? Option A. A hazard is any incident that causes monetary loss to the management. Option B. A hazard is any object that can cause distress to the visiting children. Option C. A hazard is anything that has the potential to cause injury, disease, or death in a workplace. Option D. A hazard is anything that can malfunction and cause damage to the product. Correct answer is C. Question 2. What type of hazards are there in a steel plant? Option A. Monetary, resources, client, worker. Option B. Social, personal, religious, political. Option C. Mental, physical, emotional. Goggles. Goggles protect the eyes from injuries caused by strong light or flying objects. Safety boots. Safety boots guard the feet from puncture wounds, injuries, and slipping. Respirator. Respirators guard the respiratory system from the attack of poisonous gases, mist, fumes, and dust. Dangri and gloves. After completing PPE, we move to the next part, that is safe material handling. It is very important to understand how to handle materials in the plant to avoid injuries to self and also others. You might be assigned this task of lifting and moving heavy weights from one place to the other. You can either do this manually or use a forklift. In both the cases, you should be cautious and follow safety rules to avoid injuries to self or any damage to the material you are carrying. You should also be attentive when you are assisting anyone during lifting or attaching the job to the overhead crane's sling or hook. If you are lifting or moving material, you must lift the material in the correct posture as shown in the image and also have a firm grip. If the material is too heavy, take someone's help. Place the material at its destination properly. Do not throw it on the ground. In case the job is repetitive or heavy, take breaks. Also avoid double handling. You also use a number of material handling equipment to carry the load. They are trucks, forklifts, dollies, carts, wheelbarrows, hoists, and cranes. You can use carts, dollies, and hand trucks to push and pull loads easily. Handles on loads and mechanical aids can also ease the process. It is important to handle materials properly because if you do it wrongly, you can suffer. It is important to handle materials properly because if you do it wrongly, you can suffer strain and sprains, neck and back injuries, slip falls and crush accidents, hernia, cuts and bruises, occupational overuse syndrome. Hence, participants remember the following practices can keep you safe from unnecessary injuries and accidents. Now let us check your understanding with the help of a small test. Question 1. Which of these is not a part of the PPE kit? Option A, boots. Option B, earmuffs. Option C, wire cutter. Option D, goggles. The correct answer is C. Learners, welcome to the next section. In this part, you will learn about risks of working at heights and confined spaces, and what are the safety precautions you need to take while working at heights and confined spaces. While working in a plant, you may have to perform activities at height for which you will be using ladders, scaffolds, and platforms. Here you need to follow strict safety protocols to carry out the work safely. Let us look at some of the safe working practices at height. If you are using mobile elevated platforms as shown on your screen, you need to set the platform on plain and solid ground, use equipment with stabilizers, trained operators should be at ground level. While working on platforms, don't forget to wear safety harnesses. Fix the platform under safe working limits and keep an eye on the speed of the wind. If you are using scaffold towers, the towers should be put up by trained people. Height to base ratio should be 3:1 for indoors and 2.5:1 for outdoors. Use stabilizers if necessary. Deploy outriggers or stabilizers if height is 2.5 meters or above. Lock all the casters firmly before using. Ensure ladder access is provided at the working platform. Avoid movement when the tower is engaged. Do regular inspection and maintenance. Also keep in mind to use safety lines, harnesses, and nets in case no other equipment are okay to use. If you are using ladders, assemble it at the right angle. It should be properly fixed and footed. Keep it close to the work. Make sure the ladder has adequate support at the base to avoid hitting on vehicles or pedestrians. If you are using step ladders, lock it firmly after it's fully spread. Do not stand on top of the step ladder. Do not use the top tread or rear part for foot support. Ensure only one person is using the ladder at a time. Choose the appropriate grade holder. Choose the appropriate grade ladder for work. If you are asked to work with access equipment, you must learn about risks involved with access equipment from the contractors. Regular inspection and maintenance of access equipment must be done. Person using access equipment must be well trained. Necessary precautions. Risks such as electric shocks are there, so proper precautions must be there. Also formation of fumes, gases, vapors during welding. And last is the difficulty in rescuing during an emergency due to restricted entry space in places like manholes. To avoid these risks as much as possible, you need to follow safe systems of work. You can do this by carrying safety systems and equipment inside the working space and following this checklist to ensure a safe working environment is there. Keep your mechanical and electrical equipment separately. Ensure there is no formation of fumes from residues during the work. Check if the entrance size is big enough to let you enter with all the necessary equipment, and also there is emergency exit available. Ensure that there is proper supply of fresh air if you are using portable gas cylinder or diesel fueled equipment. Prevent flammable and explosive atmosphere by using non-sparkling tools and protected lighting systems. Check availability of a breathing apparatus if the air is not adequate and safe for breathing due to the formation of poisonous gases and fumes. Check if emergency arrangements are done properly. Check the availability of safety harnesses. Ensure proper emergency procedure is in place. like use of alarm system and rescue operations in case of danger. When you follow all the protocols we talked about in the unit, you will be safe while working at height or working in confined spaces. Now let us check your understanding with the help of a small test. Question 1. Using step ladders for a tough or heavy task is safe, true or false? Option A, true. Option B, false. Option C, more information required. Option D, depends on the material of the ladder. Correct answer is B.
Question 2. Which of these is considered a confined space? Option A, storage facility. Option B, cargo train. Option C, transport vehicles. Option D, silos. Correct answer is option D.
Learners, it is a very crucial section because here you will learn about fire hazards, how you can control them using fire extinguishers. So, what are fire extinguishers? It is a fire protection device used to control small fire accidents, and when the fire is out of control, it is recommended to call fire expertise of the fire department. Let us understand the types of fire extinguishers. Dry chemical. These fire extinguishers are in powder form and they stop the fire production through free radicals. Foams. Foam fire extinguishers are applied over aspirated or unaspirated fuels. The foam released from the fire extinguisher forms a blanket over the fuel and cuts the supply of oxygen to the fuel. Water. These are harmless, inexpensive, and easy to clean fire extinguishers. In this type, the air pressurized water cools the burning material by absorbing the heat. It is used against Class A fires. Clean agents and carbon dioxide. These types of fire extinguishers displace oxygen, control chemical chain reactions, and remove heat from the fire zone. This extinguisher does not leave any remain after release, which is ideal for electronic items and sensitive documents. After learning about different types of extinguishers, let us learn how to use them. To use them effectively, follow these steps. Pull the pin from the top of the fire extinguisher for releasing the locking mechanism, which discharges the fire extinguisher. Aim the extinguisher towards the base of the fire, not the flame. Squeeze the lever slowly. Deliver the extinguishing agent in the extinguisher. When the lever of the extinguisher is released, the discharge of the extinguishing agent stops. Sweep from side to side. Move the fire extinguisher to and from by sweeping motion until the fire is under control. Operate the extinguisher from a safe distance. Move towards the fire when it starts to reduce. After learning to use the fire extinguishers, let's explore the fire drill. A fire drill is an exercise where you practice your fire plan. You have to keep in mind the following steps. First is the isolation of fire by closing doors and using automatic sprinkler systems. Secondly is the evacuation of the whole area to save everyone in danger. Third is the evacuation of smoke section by shifting workers through exit doors and to specific areas. Lastly, prepare building for mass departure by collecting medical records of all fellow workers. Fire drills need to be conducted on a timely basis, and its proper record keeping is to be done. You should include the following information in the fire drill's record. 1. Recognize the person conducting the drill. 2. Drill date and time. 3. Notification method used. 4. Staff members on duty and participating. 5. Number of occupants evacuated. 6. Special conditions simulated. 7. Problems faced. 8. Weather conditions when evacuating outside. 9. Time required to attain complete evacuation. Also, here is how a fire drill report should look like. Participants, you should follow these tips in case there is a fire outbreak. Shout fire as soon as you notice it. Don't wait for the alarm to start ringing. Take a fire extinguisher. rapid weak pulse, pale or bluish lips and fingernails, and nausea. In this case, don't give the victim anything to drink or eat. Keep the victim warm with blanket or clothes. Place the victim's leg on a pillow. During bleeding and wounds, in the first step, cover the wound with a clean cloth and apply steady pressure on the wound for at least 5 minutes. Secondly, you should lift up the injured leg or arm above the victim's heart level. In the third step, secure the wound by a bandage when there is no more bleeding. Also, do not fix it too tightly as it may stop blood circulation. Lastly, check the victim for shock. In case you face a situation where the victim is suffering burns, do the following. In case of chemical or compressed gas burns, wash the residues of all chemicals using a drench hose or emergency shower. Do it for at least 15 minutes. Use a clean, dry cloth to cover the burn. Lastly, check the victim for shock. In case of heat or electrical burns, use water to cool the burning skin. Then place the burned area under running water in case the skin is not broken. Also, gently compress the wound by hand. Use a clean, dry cloth as a bandage. If blisters appear, don't try to break it. Don't apply any ointment or cream. If the skin is cracked or if injuries are severe, do not clean the wound or remove embedded clothing. Cover the injury securely with a clean and dry cloth. Expect shock and treat accordingly. In case of choking, there are two scenarios. First is, if the person is talking and getting sufficient air, don't restrict when he or she tries to clear the obstruction through coughing. Second is, if the person can't talk or not getting sufficient air, it is advisable to call an ambulance. Until the ambulance arrives, you can give them the first aid. If the person becomes unconscious, put down the patient on their back. If the object that obstructs the airway is noticeable, reach a finger into the patient's mouth and try to bend the obstruction out of the patient's throat. Be careful not to push the object deeper into the patient's airway. Even if this is not successful, attempt rescue breathing. A chest compression, CPR, is more helpful if the victim is still not breathing or moving. Next is learning to apply a bandage. Make the person comfortable. Do not lean across their body, stand on the side of the injury. Clean the wound properly and apply antibacterial cream on it. When the bandage is on, always remember to keep the injured part of the body supported in the position it will be in. Always use the right size of bandage. To check the passage easily, don't cover fingers or toes when bandaging a limb. Never wrap the bandage tight and secure the end by folding it over and binding a knot in the end. Safety pins, adhesive tape or a bandage clip can be used. Now we will learn about artificial respiration and the CPR process. CPR is a first aid technique you must know because it is critical in saving someone's life. To perform it, check these CPR instructions. Check the passage, make sure it is harmless for you to help. Don't become another patient. Now let's move on to the steps. Check the victim, tap and shout to get response. Circulation, pump the chest 30 times. At the center of the chest, put the heel of one hand and your other hand on top of it. At a rate of 100 per minute, 16 compressions in 10 seconds, press the chest down 2 inches. Tilt head back, lift chin up to open airway. Tweak nose close, take a normal breath, cover the patient's mouth with yours and blow out your breath until you see the chest rise. 1 breath per 1 second, repeat the process. After learning the CPR process, it is time to learn about the correct method to move injured people and others during an emergency. It is a critical process to learn because here you will be carrying wounded people to medical help or away from danger. But before that, it is important to assess the situation like the victim's condition, the number of rescues and their abilities. After that, you can follow these steps. Stand on either side of the conscious victim. Grab the victim's wrist with the hand closest to the victim's feet on your side. Use your other hand to grasp the clothing on the shoulder nearest to you and pull the victim's arms to help them to a sitting position. Assist the victim to his or her feet and place the arms around your shoulders if possible. Place your free hand around the person's waist and let him or her set the pace on hobbling out. Help the victim to move slowly. These are the essential first aid techniques you should know so that you can save people's life during different scenarios. We have completed this module. To help you remember all the necessary points, we have a small activity for you. Hello learners, in this activity, you have to create a fire drill report. List down the steps you should take in a fire drill and prepare the report. Now let us check your understanding with the help of a small test. Question 1. How to save someone from electrocution?
Correct